Luis Torres, I've seen your future. Global risk is scared of the weapon.
Alright guys, first of all, technically speaking at the moment, one of the most underrated and at the same time since actually the last few months, most anticipated games to land this entire year when it comes to first-person shooter is Crossfire X. Now, this is, well, if you are new, folks behind the game just released another trailer to make even more hype. Crossfire X is a tactical shooter and a free-to-play game with story content on top of a couple of DLC due out after its initial release in about 3 days from now. Check it out, this game is also a Microsoft exclusive and it is coming to Xbox consoles only.
17 seconds. Soon, the entire world will burn, all because of him.
The ghost is here!
Honestly, this came our way as a huge surprise back only a week ago, even though it's been almost 10 years since the last entry, but yeah. We have a new Crysis game in the making, and by Crytek, this is the only teaser that they came up with when it was revealed, basically showing off some particle effects or something of the CryEngine and just precisely that. Nothing more, let's go ahead and check it out and stay tuned for more updates in the future.
We're excited to share a first look at a project we're developing at Ubisoft San Francisco.
Now, since Ubisoft is on a roll with free-to-play games, there was another first-person shooter they revealed last year in the Tom Clancy's universe going by X-Defiant. A first-person, of course, multiplayer game that will pit teams of 6 characters against each other across different modes. X-Defiant is coming to, well, all consoles as we know, that is all and the new generation in addition to PCs with full crossplay expected sometime later this year.
Our factions are at the heart of the game. They're inspired by maverick groups from across Tom Clancy's games and beyond. From this inspiration, we created new characters and gameplay unique to our shooter. And will continue to add to this diverse cast as the game evolves. Now, while factions
Then we've got Witchfire, actually the one and only Souls-inspired, mythological kind of first-person shooter, announced almost 4 years ago, what some of you might have even heard to be a cancelled project at this point. I guess not. Witchfire is actually set to come out pretty soon here. Words from its developers is in its early access phase. Initially, will then at its full about a year later. Check it out. To accompany this great news, they also came out with even more footage. Moving on, there's Proteus. Now, if you're a fan of old school shooters, we're talking Heretic, Doom old school, I think you most definitely have a soft spot for Proteus. Now, Proteus comes, as you can see, with a pixel art style that's doing a pretty good job in terms of visuals. It is eye-catching, at the same time packing a ton of gore and fast-paced goodies with it. If you don't believe me, this game's actually sitting on Steam through its early access since 2 years ago, and this is how it looks like. Then there's Crows, or Crows. I think actually one of the most exciting multiplayer projects in the making from its developers, Royal Crow. Unfortunately, however, the game doesn't have a release date yet, but nonetheless, well, the game itself is a squad-based shooter that will have 2 modes, both into an open world setting, with a semi-destructive environment. It's a cool game, but like I said, no release date has been released for this game, but we know it's coming to PCs sometime later this year. Check it out.
The steel wheels of the Nazi war machine crush everything in their path.
This one actually comes from no more than a week ago, but in case you have missed out on. Rebellion is bringing Sniper Elite 5 to consoles and PCs this year with a brand new competitive online campaign. The actions moved from Italy to France this time around, and if you do see the trailer, come to notice there'll be an all-new thing called the Invasion mode. Anyway, this game is coming to both generation of consoles in addition to PCs with crossplay support as well, we hear.
Killing in the shadows, where most despair when they stare into the face of impossible odds. We shall smile and see an opportunity. We know the risks. If we do not take them, no one else will. We must be ready to make that sacrifice.
Right, like no more than 48 hours ago, Tango Gameworks and also Bethesda revealed that Ghostwire Tokyo will be released worldwide, and it is actually going to be a PlayStation 5, Xbox Series consoles and PCs game come March 25 this year. Now, this specific news came our way with a deep dive trailer that gives you an idea for the gameplay mechanics and a lot more of what to expect generally when the game releases. But only to untangle some threads over here, this game's an action-adventure at heart, but also a first-person player. Check it out.
Ghostwire Tokyo, you'll harness an arsenal of powerful abilities through a mystic art known as ethereal weaving. Channeling raw ether, such as wind, fire, and water. As the story unfolds, you'll learn to upgrade and master these abilities based on your play style, incorporating powerful core grabs and perfectly timed blocks, all to devastating effect. Alongside your abilities, you'll have a range of more traditional and mystical tools at your disposal. Traversal and exploration are a central part of Ghostwire Tokyo. And with the Tengu ability, players can grapple and maneuver through the city with ease.
Welcome to the Wonderlands, a glorious fantasy realm chock full of shooting, looting, and mystical, magical, smelly stuff.
On the other hand, we have Tiny Tina's Wonderland, which is essentially Tiny Tina's DLC and turning it into an entire game, just going with it. Honestly, it's one of the games that has to be experienced, especially if you've never played a Borderland game, which you're either gonna love or hate, in most cases actually love, particularly if you're a Dungeons & Dragons fan. Really looking forward to this game, and the good news is that it is actually coming out in about a month from now, so just keep it in mind.
About creating and capitalizing on opportunities vis-a-vis stabbing. Or should you prefer a less subtle approach, the Berserker is for you. See something? Smash it! See something else? Smash that! Unleash your frosty fury on foe after foe. Honestly, it's therapeutic. That's just a taste of what we've got in store for you. There are plenty more ways to play. Whatever your poison, we've got you covered. Welcome to the Wonderland!
Раз.
Да,
Эти ребята не оживут за моей спиной?
не волнуйтесь. У экспонатов отсутствует блок питания.
Ловлю на слове.
Atomic Heart, however, even though still on its track of 2022 release after receiving about 12 delays so far since 2019, still requires a release date, but rumors has it it's finally coming out around holidays this year, or even earlier, nobody knows. So you could tell it's been actually in our radar for quite a while. Now, here in Atomic Heart, you play as a Russian KGB agent in an alternative reality, something you could definitely describe as a Russian Bioshock game, but I don't know, just check it out and do make sure to stay tuned for that precise release date.
Ой, вот это я понимаю, хоромы. Раз. Какой у нас там план-то?
Вам приказано зачистить территорию выставочного комплекса из 4 этажей. Начинайте с любого.
the world's first play-to-earn first-person shooter that will pit players against a hostile alien world. Now here's the thing, I don't know if that's actually legit, but it's what developers of Last Expedition came up with for description, so I guess we'll see about that later. Last Expedition is an intense focus and skill required game, or once again that's what it's touted as, with a blockchain ownership that will allow a new strategy to build, grow, and survive in new ways. Check it out, this one still requires a release date.
Get back here, you little ugly rodent! Oh.
Right, so honestly, if you've never played Shadow Warrior games, it's just one of those franchises that goes with fun factor at heart. And it does actually do a tremendous job too. It's pretty gory, hardcore, fast-paced, not particularly a long game as opposed to, let's say, Tiny Tina's Wonderland. Actually pretty brief and pretty fun as well. So if you do enjoy what you see right here, do make sure to check out the game's previous entries as well. I actually do highly recommend that, if you do like what you see here. Anyway, Shadow Warriors 3 releases March 1st this year, and it is coming to PCs, the PlayStation 4, and Xbox One only. Check it out. On the other hand, we have the Cycle Frontier, a spin-off of the studio's previous PvE The Cycle, however this time around taking things into a very sort of escape from Tarkov kind of experience. Now the good thing about this one is that now this game will be live for some free testing about March 10 to 28th this year and on PCs, so you just have to sign up for it through Steam or the Epic Games Store. Other than that, the full game will be a free-to-play game, and we know it's coming out sometime later this year and coming to PCs only, no consoles.
In proxy wars. Small clandestine operations between supposedly local militia. Yet little does the world know, in the wake of these battles lies a superweapon.
Okay, this one actually came around like 7 months ago, but ever since it was announced, Project Wraith is actually one of the often mentioned indie games that has a lot in common with games such as Counter-Strike. Now, this game is focused purely on infantry combat, constant action, and the fun kind of gameplay, which is basically the goal with these developers, is what they said. Nice enough, it's about to be released in about a month from now, and it's coming to PCs only. Check it out.
But there is one thing for certain. Nobody defines us. We decide the world's stage now.
Nephilim Saga is available on Steam now through a free demo, however. The full game itself, or an early access phase, is still yet to be announced and given a release date, however also said to be coming soon. Well, the game itself is taking place in a post-apocalyptic setting, as you could tell, as a first-person shooter where humanity must face an ancient enemy called the Nephilim. Next up, it's Paradox of Hope. What's touted as an immersive single-player VR shooter with survival and horror elements. Taking place, of course, in a post-apocalyptic Moscow, early access for Paradox of Hope is set to be coming out in only a few months from now, with a full release following a few months after. Check it out. The game's also available to be wishlisted on Steam.
You ever wonder how it all ends? What if it ended with a song?
No, I think I did say something like this earlier, but nonetheless, if you're still a classic Doom guy from almost half a century ago like myself, I think you might know Metal Hellsinger over here too. If not, however, it's okay, it's a rhythm-based shooter, first person of course, and the rhythm part of the game is a big deal in this experience. Honestly, I really love it, by the looks and the feels of it and everything I've actually came across from all the way back when the game was revealed. Anyway, Metal Hellsinger is at the moment expected to come out later this year and into PCs and consoles too. If you like, you can go ahead and wishlist the game on Steam right now.
This is Pantheon, or what is left of it. Once an overground temple, it is now a necropolis dedicated to the damned and forgotten. It's a sanctum for uninitiated souls who dream of finding a path to Elysium and the tomb to which they return if their quest to find the afterlife ends violently.
Last but not least, there is Perish, a stylish 4-player first-person shooter, going for the kind of old Painkiller formula with a few other twists taken from old school and modern games as well, where you slay hordes of creatures and then there's bosses. All of that to gain entrance to Elysium, which is basically heaven on earth, I think? I'm not sure. Anyway, if you do like your games co-op, and I guess with some fast-paced action to go with your first-person shooters, keep an eye out for Perish. This game releases on Steam possibly later this year.
The result is a never-ending battle amongst the dead. One and all aim to complete the 12 tasks of purgatory, reliving the suffering of the Olympian god Dionysus in order to prove themselves worthy of the company of Orpheus. Most are doomed to meet their brutal end over and over, only to be forced to undertake the trials again from scratch.